Is here in One Piece episode 1072, the episode that we've all been waiting for as we get to see Gear 5's brand new abilities in his battle with Kaido. This episode did not disappoint. Absolutely ridiculous animations coming out of left field and right field. We had Naotoshi Shida. We had this beautiful scene that kind of looks a little bit like AI. It's actually not. It's Shinya Ohira. In fact, this episode was filled with not only particularly incredible animations, but tons of comical faces and animations out of Luffy. It was exactly as they said, tons of combat and very funny, very Looney Tunes, high-paced, incredible action. Dynamic is not a word strong enough to describe this episode. There was also tons and tons of beautiful screenshots of Luffy, just colorful, great contrast and detail. I loved all of these pictures. I even struggled picking one to use as the thumbnail. And you can't help but laugh hysterically at Luffy's pancake face. My god, I was just crying laughing at that scene before Luffy just goes into beast mode again, starts beating the crap out of Kaido. So, very, very back and forth episode. I love the dichotomy between these two characters. They're both really enjoying the fight and going all out, and it's beautiful to see Luffy experience his Gear 5 form for the first time. And boy, did he experience it. Man, he used a lot of abilities. He got eaten by Kaido and blew himself up like a balloon and then used escape rocket to get out by launching his hands through Kaido's eyes and grabbing onto his nose. Tons of funny, awesome animation to talk about, and let's jump in. Now, Naotoshi Shida, a familiar animator that works on One Piece and Dragon Ball Super, etc., gave us his cut on Luffy being eaten by Kaido. And you can see these just very, very smooth, very fluid, curvy type of animation. This is signature Naotoshi Shida. Very easy to distinguish because he's so much different than other animators. And as Luffy is descending down Kaido's esophagus, he blows himself up and uses Gomu Gomu no Balloon. Kaido expands and falls on the ground and starts rolling. Really nice little animations here before Luffy sees two lights, which are actually Kaido's eyes, and he launches his hands out of Kaido's eyes. I love this part. Grabs onto his nose and then uses escape rocket to launch himself out. I don't know if the physics on this really work, but hey, it is Looney Tunes Gear 5 bananas, right? So Luffy blows himself up into the clouds, and then you see all this lightning, and he bursts out as Gomu Gomu no Giant. This was super terrifying to see Luffy just come out of the sky. His eye pokes through the clouds, and he grabs onto Kaido, using him as a jump rope. This was hilarious to watch, and Luffy has his fun for a little bit before he gets bit and eventually blasts breath directly in the face as we reach the midpoint of the episode. And already by this time, we've been blessed by countless beautiful animations here. I mean, it's just been pretty much non-stop. And while it's not 100% consistent, I think it still really works here in this episode a lot more than the previous one. The previous episode was a little bit more jarring because it was like every scene Luffy just looked different. And in this case, the episode felt a little bit more polished in that sense. As the battle continues, Luffy flies towards Kaido and gets slammed by Conqueror's Haki, Conqueror of the Three Worlds. And in this case, Luffy's actually gonna deform, so he's gonna have taken so much damage that he's gonna like run out of energy, and we're gonna get to see what is happening to Luffy when he's in Gear 5th, how draining this form actually is on him. Now, he is able to just kind of snap it back on whenever he wants, but it does drain him heavily, so I guess he does have to end this fight fairly quick. I really love this animation of Luffy slowly deforming and turning into this putrid corpse. And if you're an anime only, you might have got worried at this point that Luffy's gonna lose here, but luckily he is able to pull himself back up and re-enable his form. And that's when we get just this most ridiculous sequence of Luffy. And we gotta stop here and talk about this a little bit because a lot of people thought that this shot was AI, and I do not believe it is. It kinda looks like it is, but I think it's because it's just simply Shinya Ohira's style, and you can see from some of his other animations, this is very typical of his style. I think this man just draws so many frames, but it is a little strange. I mean, to see the shading and the detail on like Knuckles and stuff constantly moving around, that is a telltale sign of AI. But again, I don't know why they would use AI for this one scene, and even if they did, honestly, this shit looks beautiful. I mean, you can't help, like, yes, it is jarring, it does look very different than the rest of the episode, but it stands out in a good way, in my opinion. I mean, when this moment starts playing in the episode, you can't help but open your eyes and be like, holy crap, what is happening right now? What is about to come? This is a spectacle of animation, and honestly, it is incredibly impressive. All right, we gotta talk real quick about this one. This was my favorite animation of the whole episode. Every time I watch it, I just bust out laughing. The physics is so good, and just the way that Luffy's face gets pancaked and he's hanging off this mace, struggling with his legs to try and get moving as he's hooked on because a spike is piercing his face. It's just so funny. It's like, how do you even animate this? You have to have a really Looney Tunes sort of imagination to even think about the physics behind something like this. And man, did they pull this off 10 out of 10. I mean, God, it was so funny to see Luffy just running. Oh, it's the best. So Luffy uses his final ability of the episode, and that's Gomu Gomu no Counter Blow. He lands the most devastating punch on Kaido and sends him freaking flying. It's just awesome to see the damage. I mean, his punch literally went through Kaido's face in slow motion. Animation is completely flawless here, and damn did that punch feel good. So I definitely felt that episode 1072 was better than 1071. We got much more of a showcase of Luffy's abilities, more of his Gear 5. For example, we didn't waste half the episode on Orochi, and we got a great variety of distinguished animators to just showcase unbelievable levels of animation here and perfect this wonky Looney Tunes form out of Luffy. Because it's not just traditional standard animation, this is pushing the boundaries of typical anime. And I would definitely give this episode a 10 out of 10. There's no doubt in my mind about that. There's zero to complain about. This episode was just a gift for One Piece fans. But will Luffy's Gear 5th be more iconic than Super Saiyan and Ultra Instinct? I don't think so. I think that this episode was hype. I think it was delivered extremely well. I have no poor feedback to give. But I don't think Luffy Gear 5 will be a household name like Super Saiyan ever is. And I don't know if One Piece will ever be able to pull this off. But I'm hoping that this new form in these beautiful episodes will draw new, fresh people into the beautiful story of One Piece. It's #1 in Japan, but can we make it #1 in the West? To be honest, if they keep giving us animation at this level every week, it may be possible that Luffy simply surpasses Goku in popularity. Probably not, because Dragon Ball fans are diehard, and you can never argue with a Dragon Ball fan. Trust me. The battle continues in episode 1073, but unfortunately, it won't be as much combat as this episode was, but we still will get some. Luffy has yet another ability he's going to reveal in the next episode, probably his best one to date. Can't wait to talk about it with y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up and hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you.